Welcome to the show. You are with Relax Radio Beyond Frequencies. My name is Evanese, and here we are yet on another journey, another episode of the Mic Drop, a revolution of a generation. And today I have a very special guest, Elisha Perera, a law student and a youth activist. And for anyone watching in or hopping on board, tuning in, welcome to the show. This is going to be a show where we, encourage and empower the youth, activists, members, influencers, content creators, all rounders, where they are provided, with the stage, the center stage, to share their opinions, their thoughts on the current economic crisis in Sri Lanka, and so much more. And do download the Relax Radio app to have a smooth listening experience. You can head on over to your Apple App Stores, your Google Play Stores, download us and have us running in the background so you can guarantee great company as always from us. And also do follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and do hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page as well so you don't miss out on special programs just like this one. With that said, of course, Elisha Perera, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Mic Drop, a revolution of a generation. What better way to get to know about you than ask you? So why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are?
Thanks, Evan. First of all, thank you for this platform. I think it means a lot for the youth to be heard right now in this nation because we have a lot to say. We
Yep.
have a lot of anger that is built up all these years, and finally, uh, we have had the opportunity to fight for our nation. So, I'm a law student, like you said. I'm currently in my final year. Uh, uh, Other than that, I've also pioneered in starting a podcast also, which is more of Christian related daily life content.
Right.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, Alicia is starting the show with a beautiful smile as well, enlightening the show. Well, Alicia, what do you think? Do we think we should dive right into the questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. So, coming from a law student, I'm pretty sure you're going to have some interesting answers for the questions that I'm about to ask you. So, I'm just going to ask you, in your opinion, right, and from your experience acquired from living in Sri Lanka, not as a law student, let's get into that later, right, but as a citizen and as a youth of this country, where do you think Sri Lanka is headed? And let's not just discuss in terms of economy, but, overall, where do you think the country is going?
First of all, I want to tell that we shouldn't lose hope in the country because of this situation. We can come out of it.
Yeah,
I've been living in Sri Lanka all my life. So this is the first time that I've seen such a revolution, such a unity of people coming together and fighting for a nation. I
yeah,
haven't felt this much of love for the nation from the people in so long, in so
right,
long, because we were divided by race, we were divided by religion, we were divided by caste, and people were not getting people were not united as Sri Lankans. So yeah, not leaving aside the economy, I think we have a great future. We have great potential. We have good people, good young people, good educated, learned people. There are so many graduates who have come out of universities, local universities, who are
yeah,
out there without jobs. So it's kind of sad because they have so much of potential, so much of ideas, so much of capacity in them, which is not actually used in this country. But leaving that aside, I think that for this economy to grow, I think we need to tap into those minds, because that is wasted minds. That is a waste of resources that we have, human power, human capital. So I
very
think
much.
uh, we should open up opportunities for these people to voice out, give solutions, because we are up to date in everything. We are up to date in our technology, we are up to date in strategies, knowledge, and everything. So I think if we tap into those, if we give these people the opportunity for them to step out and actually help the country, man, you Sri Lanka will be like USA.
Wow. All
So
right.
yeah, so that
I'm
that, that is my hope. That is so yeah, don't lose hope in Sri Lanka. We 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 are destined for great things.
Well, awesome, Montali. But I'm gonna ask you. You said, yeah, Sri Lanka is divided by caste, religion, race, and all that stuff, right? Even we do have major gender inequality issues present,
Yeah.
in this very moment. But
Hmm.
and you compare Sri Lanka to the United States, but the situation there is also still, you do have racial issues because we did, get to know about a mass shooting that happened in Buffalo as well recently.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
how would you compare, the injustice in the United States, and of course in Sri Lanka? What are the contrasting factors?
Uh, when I said USA, I meant their technology, their advancement, and the involvement of the young people that is
Right.
uh, that is being in that uh, nation, because they give opportunities not even for USA citizens, but also people who come from different countries also. So if they
Yeah.
come out for education, it's guaranteed that they will have a job in USA or any other country. It'll be guaranteed. So our problem is that even though we go into local universities, even though we go to foreign universities or any other private campuses that we have in Sri Lanka, a job is not guaranteed. We have a scarcity of jobs where the uh, job security, for us to even specific jobs to apply, that sense of security is not there in Sri Lanka. That is what I
Right.
meant, comparing to USA. But real situation in USA is it's very sad. Yeah. People, one person was very heartless to kill those innocent children in an elementary school. So
Yep.
I'm sure our people are not like that, because their culture is very different to our culture,
Yes.
because we have a lot of hospitality, we have a lot of cultural discipline that has been embedded within us. So because of that, and obviously guns and using guns is illegal here, even though like some gangs use them, that is a different story. But normal citizen usage of guns is not, it's not legal here. So that discipline, that culture that we have in Sri Lanka, we have to be very thankful for that, because of that we are more hospitable, we are more compassionate, empathetic, much more than westerners actually. So that's why when the people from western countries come to Sri Lanka, they see a change because of our
Right.
people. Our people
Mm-mm.
are very different. Even among the Asian countries, if you get Chinese people are very rude, not like other countries.
Just
So
giving out a bold statement, huh? Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, my friends have gone to China and they it was very hard for them to survive in China and Japan, because they are very quite rude. They don't want people from other countries coming in, and they it feels like they're like overtaking their country, and stuff like that, rude remarks. But we welcome with open hands people from any nation. So I think that is
Yes.
a great quality to have, right? So we have to be very
Yep.
thankful for that culture, our culture, and uh, discipline that we are embedded in this nation. Yeah.
Right. Wow, that was such an elaborated answer, Ellie. Thank you so much for that. I think that was much needed because we do make, a ton of comparisons between the United States, what's happening there, the injustice there, and of course, the
Mm,
injustice here as well. But what you said, I want to highlight on that because Sri Lankan people, they are, taking a very different approach to this economic crisis. And, the way they are
mm,
upholding their values, how cheerful they are, even though, violence was, brought upon them, right? There was no violence to begin with. There were peaceful protesters, there were peaceful protests all over the country, and the element of violence was actually brought into it by the government. And what are your thoughts on that, Alicia? I wanted to ask
yeah.
that because yes, even when you think about the international media coverage on the protests, right, they have been super scandalous because almost every article that I read, right, it's like or protests, violence, yada yada yada, all that stuff. But like I never see anyone. I think probably maybe like one or two media coverage showed that these protests were peaceful, but the rest were like it was portrayed as if it was any other violent protest. Why do you think that is happening? And do you think the government is definitely playing a part, or maybe even bribing these media companies to show the opposite of what is actually happening here?
Yeah, uh, that playing a role in that, but for sure they are possible. It is possible because we never thought that on the 9th that our protest will be attacked by our own people for just you know an alcohol bottle, 2,000 rupees, and a
Yeah.
rice packet.
Mm-hmm.
We never
That was
thought,
sad.
right? So anything is
Yep.
possible. Exactly, it was very sad. It's anything is possible with the government. That's the thing, like we should establish that mentality in them, saying, okay, for money, for anything you'll give for 2,000 rupees, our views can be changed. We shouldn't be sharing that message. Apart from that, we're coming to the question. Yeah, I saw BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN. A lot of those reporters had come to Sri Lanka to cover the situation, and I saw how bad we had been portrayed in those
Yep.
articles. Because
Mm-hmm.
and none of it was true. Like, none of it embedded the whole truth of why we came and protested. They didn't know what we were going through. They didn't know how hard it was to live in this country like that. Because they are just outsiders. They are just speculating. They're speculating critically, but they don't understand what we are really going through. But in terms of that, um a lot of activists in our country um, spoke about these articles for
Yep.
weeks and weeks. And at last, one I think it was CNN or something, they or BBC, one of those
Mm-hmm.
channels, one of those media reporting, they had held a press conference over Zoom and really brought our influencers on that and got the real situation. Because we were talking about it, and we were really pressing those media outlets to really tell the truth and not the twisted truth that the government was portraying. So
Yep.
because of us, that is also because of us, because we chose to speak the truth without looking at the risk, without looking at the consequences. These are big reporting outlets. We don't know
Yep.
what they are capable of. They are very powerful. They are mega. They are not just in located in one country. They are all the power is distributed among all the countries. So uh, speaking out boldly, we have to salute our youth, our activists, our influencers, uh, our youth who became activists because of these, because of our current
Mm.
economic situation. We have to applaud
Yep.
them for their courage, for speaking up for our country, for having that much of love for the country to speak up and say, no, this is not the truth. We started this because we love our country. We weren't violent. We were asking for our basic rights. We were asking if
Yep.
because the president was incompetent. He was in this position for this amount of time, and what has he done? How did he make this country better? He didn't. He made the situation worse. So are you all saying that we have to tolerate all of this? That's what we asked. So
Yep.
that is the power of the people, the people's mandate. So uh, anything can be shaken down, trampled under the ground by the people's voices. So that's why it's very, very powerful. That's why people, all the countries that are around us, even in Europe, other countries were very supportive of this, because you could see the democracy. You could see the
Yep.
people rising up. You could see the
Yep.
power of the people. And
Very
they
much.
they are also very happy, because this is one of the greatest examples that we could see people rising up. This is a great
mm, mm,
example in
mm.
this century, in this time. So yes, the press did an enormous, you know enormous job, bad job actually, by putting our people down
Yep,
to
I
and
agree.
putting our protesters down. And we had morals, we never crossed them. We didn't take law into our hands, we never did that. We were good citizens of Sri Lanka. We know that we shouldn't take law into our hands, we knew that. And
Mm-mm.
everyone in that protest, everyone at Gota Gogama knows that. Every person who is protesting in their own villages, in their own cities, know that we never instigated violence. And even when we were hit, we never did anything. We
Yep,
just took it. We weren't violent, we weren't counteractive. So those international media saw it, and now I think because of us, they are also like backing us up, and they are also looking at the government in a critical eye, because they took our freedom. It was a huge blow to democracy.
yep,
So they
yep,
are they are onto our side now. So if the government did pay them and wanted to, give bad press to the Gora Gaugama protesters,
yep.
hard luck, you're lost.
Well, she's putting it out there as bold as she can be. We are in conversation with Elisha Perera, law student, and of course, now a youth activist, sharing her opinions, her thoughts, making her stance very clear on the current economic crisis in Sri Lanka on Relax Radio Beyond Frequencies. For anyone tuning in or watching in, hopping on board, whatever it is that you are doing, do stay connected with us. Follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and also do hit that subscribe button on the Relax Radio YouTube page. You can find us easily so you don't miss out on special programs just like this one. Now, Alicia, moving on to more questions. You brought out the fact that, people are becoming youth activists. It's almost as if, people don't have a choice but to become youth activists, right? And also, conversations or talks of, a new youth political party being formed was happening over the past couple of weeks, even though I saw it probably a month ago, but now
Yeah.
the story has kind of died down. If that
Mm.
ever happens, I'm gonna ask you, would you ever take part in politics?
Uh, Politics is not supposed to be a dirty game. It's not
Mm-mm.
supposed to be something that we have to get our hands dirty.
Yeah,
But because that's what we have seen, because that's our mindset, that because that's how our leaders have portrayed, that's how our leaders have gotten power, that's what the mindset we have.
you
Politics
grew up
doesn't have to
basically
be that.
knowing it was corrupt, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew, like, from the day we could understand something, from the day I could understand politics, I knew how corrupt, how cunning, and how manipulative they are. And they are
Mm-mm.
very good talkers, so they can obviously manipulate anything. They can manipulate even the law, so
Yeah.
for their benefit. So it doesn't have to be like that. I'm very happy that our young people are actually stepping up to even forming a political party, knowing that how much of injustice, how much of crooked things our current political parties have done, and getting and rising up and taking a stance and saying, okay, our political parties are not going to be corrupt. We
Yeah.
really love our country, we really love Sri Lanka, and we are going to do something for our people, so that we can take Sri Lanka to greater heights. So
Right.
because it's that foundation, because we know that our our political people, our political leaders have turned Sri Lanka into like a, a ground where they can play games.
You're
We
right.
are, it's like
Mm-mm.
we have had enough of it. Now what we want to do is take out that corruption from the root. How we can do that is get into those places and working so that we can take it out from the root. So
Right.
I mean, we have a lot of professional people who are very educated, young people who have a much more rapport with what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Good solutions, great solutions, timely solutions, good advisory abilities. So I think by doing that, by forming that, it's going to be a great, it's going to be the start of a new political revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
if I mean, there are so many people out there who are much more learned, much more, thorough, uh, much more solutionary, much more advisory in that sense. But if whatever I can, however I can, I will help it. I will help that cause, because
Right.
that's what we should be doing. We should support them. We should support them.
Mm-mm.
We should keep them accountable. We should always be behind them to push them forward when they are going in this journey, because they need that, because this is the first time
Right.
something like this is happening. So they need all the help that they can get. So we are the help, we are the people, so we have to help them and empower them.
Well, so I think Alicia made it clear, maybe no politics, but if the time comes, she surely would. And Alicia, you mentioned the fact that this is sort of like the first time something like this has ever happened. But when you think about the JVP riots that happened back then, there was a similar situation. But what is the key difference or the differences that you are seeing between the protests that happened back then and the protests that are happening now? What is the clear cut difference?
um, During the JVP riots, that's when my parents were schooling. So when I hear those stories, there was a lot of violence, a lot of murdering,
Mm-mm.
a lot of even like assault, going into homes and thrashing, and get taking like taking the identity cards of people, and
Right.
really disturbing the peace around the people, because a revolution is supposed to help the people, not disrupt
Mm-mm.
the people's peace. But here we can see a clear difference. JVP riots, all we can think is violence,
Yep.
as at least as how I have heard from my parents' stories. Uh, you know, Boys were hung, they were killed, they were set on fire. We don't do that. Our whole protest is based on love for this country, and keeping law and order, and reviving this economy so we can have a better future, or and
Yes.
our children can have a better future. So that is
Yep.
that is our stance. So that is because of that foundation, because we know that we can do much more. We can make a much more impact by doing things out of love, by doing things out of violence, not, without being violent. that
Mm-mm.
uh, that is the stance we wanted to make, because our leaders have taken things by force, have taken things by
Yes.
violence, have taken power by violence, by manipulating things. That is how our leaders have worked. But now the clear difference is, because we wanted to be different than our leaders, because we hate corruption, we hate how
Right.
these people act, we hate how these people conduct, we hate how these people even talk in the parliament. So the difference between the JVP and ours is, we are much more peaceful. We don't disrupt our people. We are for the people, and uh, we are advocating not just to the Sri Lankans living right now, but for the generations to come. So that is the clear cut difference, I can tell you.
Wow, I think even everyone watching in definitely got the clear cut difference. Thank you for that wonderful answer, Alicia. And hey, anyone, if you are watching this, why don't you call us up? And if you have any questions to ask Alicia, if you want to get something out with in terms of the current economic crisis, you can simply do that on a number +44 785 2473 473. Once again, that is +44 785 2473 473. With that said, of course, Alicia, moving on to the next question now. You did mention the fact that obviously this is a generationary revolution, and apart from those actually supporting the government or the pro-government folks, what is your opinion on those who actually choose to stay silent on social media, for example, in terms of sharing related content and stuff, posts or whatever? Because I personally, I'm not gonna, name names, but hey, we all know, at least that one person that chooses to stay silent, even though everyone's sort of suffering a similar in a similar scenario. So what are your thoughts on that?
uh first, like uh in the first few days of this happening, I saw a lot of people, putting posts and really supporting that cause. But little by little, it went down, I could say. And uh, for the people who are staying silent, I mean, if you're staying silent now, do you really deserve to stay in Sri Lanka? Are you really saying that you are a
Yep.
die-hard, you're a Sri Lankan, by staying silent in this matter? Being silent is being saying you have, means you failed yourself as a Sri Lankan to really speak out, because you don't have to like day and night stay in Gota Gogama, or day and night stay outside protesting. That people who are
Right.
doing that, great, we should be doing that. But if we understand, if you can't do that, we understand that we need to find whatever the money we can to survive in this economy. We understand that. But everyone has social media, everyone can
Mm.
support this cause by using social media
Especially the
while
youth,
you're
right?
working. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the youth, while you're, because we are fighting for our for our lives, we are fighting for our futures, our destinies. So do you want to give up not fighting for it? Don't do that, because we have potential, we have capabilities that maybe have not untapped. I didn't think that I would speak out my uh, my thoughts on this ever. But I had to rise up to that occasion, because I knew as a Sri Lankan we should be fighting for our futures, not only our futures but for all the lives that are about to come, our generations that are about to come. If we if we if we fail to do it now, we have failed them, we have failed our children, we have failed our
Yes.
children's children, are the generations to come. So please don't stay silent, because that means you have failed your country, you have failed yourself, you have failed your family. So we understand that if you can't come and protest and be on roads, that is fine. But even when you're traveling, when you're using your phone, okay, if you see protesters, like when you're on your way, protesters in by the side of the road, give them something, show your support. First few weeks, I was working as a legal
Right.
associate, so there was not much of leaves I could take. But
Right.
there was this trend which went saying, okay, get a black ribbon and tie it in your hands, or tie it in your bag, show your support. Like put black flags in your houses, on your gates, on your vehicles. The first thing when I heard that, I did it. People started looking at me weird, but it didn't matter, because I am fighting for my nation, I'm fighting for
Yep.
myself,
Totally.
I'm fighting
Mm-mm.
for all my friends, all my families, and the generations to come. If you're feeling shy and saying, "Ayo, I don't know, I don't know what other people think, I don't know if I'll get hit,"
Yep.
really, no. Fight for yourselves, fight for this country, because this country has so much of potential. This country has given you 13 years of free education. repay
Yep.
repay uh,
Mm-mm.
repay that, have gratitude, repay what you owe to your country. That is what I have to say. I hope it's not too harsh, but I wanted to say that in the truth, in the brutality of it, in like bold way, because you have to at least now get it into your heads, because you all are the ones who are waiting in queues. We are the ones who are waiting in queues to get gas, fuel. We come from jobs, then we go to the full queues, and when we come home, it's like 3 o'clock, then we have to again get dressed and go to work. We are the people who are suffering. So if we don't fight for ourselves, who is going to fight for us? Yeah, that is what
Wow.
I have to say. People who are going to stay
I think I got
neutral
goosebumps
or
with, yep, how strong that answer was. There was so much strength and power in that answer that came from you, Alicia. Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. We are in conversation with Elisha Perera, a law student and youth activist who is making her stance very, very clear on the current economic crisis in Sri Lanka. And for anyone watching in, do follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and also do subscribe to the YouTube page so you don't miss out on special programs just like this one. With that said, of course, I think we are moving on to a short commercial break. We will be right back. Welcome back to the show. You are watching Relax Radio Beyond Frequencies. My name is Evan Ace, and we are on the mic drop, a revolution of a generation. And we are in conversation with Elisha Perera, a law student and a youth activist who is sharing her opinions, her thoughts on the current economic crisis in Sri Lanka. We did, get a ton of fantastic and wonderful answers from her. She did, really give out the most, I guess, strong, empowering answers for us to actually make a clear cut idea out of how, the youth activists, especially, influencers, and especially people like law students, how they are weaving in their perspectives, because it is as important as it can get. Well, Alicia, got to tell you once again, welcome back to the show. We were on a short commercial break. By the way, for anyone tuning in, hopping on board, welcome to the show. You can follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there in all of those. And do hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page so you don't miss out on special programs just like this one. So, Alicia, once again, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being a part of Relax Radio Beyond Frequencies.
Thanks, Evan.
Right. So let's move on with the rest of the questions now. Everyone's asking, Gotabaya Rajapaksa to go home, right? AKA hashtag Gota go home. It is trending. It has been trending worldwide for the past couple of months, and that is basically it's become a slogan now. And let's step into the realistic sense for a little while. Can Sri Lanka actually afford to not have a standing president? And if he actually would step down, which I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if he would step down, who do you think would be the next suitable candidate, and why do you think he or she would be the next suitable candidate?
uh, uh, in terms of whether we can afford to run without a president, we have to first realize that a country's governance is based on three pillars, which is the executive, that means the president, judiciary,
Hmm.
that means the minister, and the legislative, that is the parliament. So without these three pillars, you can't have a stabilized country. You can't run a country basically.
Right.
So yes, I don't agree with the president who is right now. Like I also want him to go because he has done nothing to the country. He has only made things worse. But if we if he steps down, we need a suitable candidate to go and fill that position for that the rest of the time. So what will happen is a bit of a law side of that is, if the president steps down right now, the rest of the tenure uh, will be elected will be run by a president who will be elected by the parliament. So that there will be a secret election done in the parliament, and the parliament will choose the the person with the highest amount of votes to be the president to run the rest of the tenure of the current resigned president.
Right.
After that term is ended, then we will go to a presidential election where all the people will vote above 18. People will
Hmm.
vote and get a suitable president. But since we are talking about this 21st amendment, and before going to the 21st amendment, establishing the 19th amendment, when if that happens, that means the powers of the executive presidency is going to be lowered. So even if we put like a good candidate into that position, he can't do much. He or she cannot influence much in the decision making of the government, that because the
Right.
prime minister and the cabinet will be the sole entity who will take decisions that is related to the country. Uh, if the 19th or the 21st amendment is established, what I would want is to have a strong prime minister and a strong
Right.
cabinet. So for a good prime minister, I would love if Dr. Harsha De Silva is appointed, because
Hmm.
he is he is a man with good educational background. He has a great knowledge in economics, and he is very easy to work with. Okay, because he is knowledgeable, and uh, he is very educated, and he knows inside out of the economy, the financial situations, and it'll be easier for the finance ministry plus the CBSL, that means the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, to
Right.
work with a person like that. Because uh, you know probably I'm thinking, like, because Gotabaya Rajapaksa is not that educated. I think only uh,
Yeah.
he only did grade 8 or O levels, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It'll be much easier to talk and take solutions and make solutions and implement things when you're talking to a same level minded people. So
Very much.
it's normal. Even if we take a company, the same the minded people, same level, you can talk with them, and you can work with them easily. So likewise, if we get someone with the same you know educational background and same expertise, it'll be
Right.
much better for our economy to come out of this. uh, but saying that, That's what I said for prime minister. But if I have to name someone for the presidency, I don't see anyone who is suitable in the system right now. That is why we need good young people who is educated to step up and and go for elections and go into the parliament, so we can at least have few options for us to fall back into. Because about 80% of the parliament, we don't have very learned people.
Mm-mm.
We
Yep.
have only a few learned people they are also very old. They are very backdated. They don't understand the current trends. They are not very thorough with the new trends, the new solutions, what we can do with technology. They are not very thorough with it. So that comes with the age, because they are very traditional. They think what how politics was like 20 or 30 years ago, you can do the same kind of politics now. No, this is a different era. This is a different kind of uh, political atmosphere, political economic atmosphere. So it's very different to 30 or 50 years ago. So because of that, we need good young people uh, who can be up to date to current trends, current solutions, technology, and all of that. Because because it's only going to get advanced, we have to run with it. If we stay in the
Right.
same place while the world runs, we are going to be stagnant. We are going to be like a statue. We are not going to be uh, we are not going to excel. We are not going to grow. So we will still be a developing country. So if we want to be a developed country, we have to run with the world. So because of that, right now there are almost like 60s, 70s, 80s aged people who are inside the parliament. We can't work with them. We can't take
Yep.
Sri Lanka to greater heights with them. So right now I don't see a president material, a person with a good even at least a good educational background to even get into that place. Because uh, we can't appoint someone for the sake of appointing. We have to
Right.
think of a lot of things. We Because that president's that that appointment holds a lot of power, holds a lot of influence over this country. So we need to make sure that we appoint the right person. But if like I said, 21st amendment is passed, then I think Dr. Harsha De Silva would be a great prime minister, who can actually bring us out of this economic crisis. But if it doesn't get passed, and if Gota steps down, I don't know who I can even trust myself with, to be, okay, he's a president, he will do something. I can't trust anyone, because there is
Right.
no one who has the proven record of doing anything.
Right. Well, that was definitely, once again, a very, detail oriented answer, Alicia. Now, diving deep into the heart of the economic crisis, were there any external factors actually that led to the economic crisis? Or do we put the blame entirely on the Sri Lankan government? Because I did, watch one of, Nama Rajapaksa's interviews with an international media company. And, when the interviewee asks, what led to the whole economic crisis, instead of taking accountability, he was like, there was COVID and all this, excuses coming up. But coming from especially a law student, I'm pretty sure you do have a proper background knowledge on how these things work. So what was the real reason for the Sri Lankan economic crisis?
I would say that not only just mostly I would say it's internal factors of mismanagement, of poor strategizing. But there are some external factors that also contributed to further deterioration of our economy. That is true. uh, right now what I can think of is uh, because of COVID. Yes, COVID hit, and it was not only to Sri Lanka, it was a major hit to all the economies, a major shock to all the economies in the whole world. We we closed borders. We didn't have means to import the basic necessities and all of that. Yes, I that is for an to an extent is true. But before, like, our economic crisis didn't start with the start of COVID. It was way
Right.
before. It started way before generations. It was a cycle which kept on happening, where they thought, okay, whatever the actions we do, we are not going to reap we are not going to reap that disadvantage, so it doesn't matter to us. But because of the acts of our leaders, and thinking that they wouldn't have any consequences, so they are all right with it. That is why we are in this situation right now. So our main revenue of our country was exports and tourism. Our country is a beautiful country. There are so many things to see. If you want the beach, there we have a beach. We have beaches all around Sri Lanka. Then if you
Right.
want like a colder environment, you can go to Norelia, Kandy, anywhere. Then if you want to sightsee, there are so many sites to go and see. We have one of the most one UNESCO heritage site also in Sri Lanka, which is Sigiriya. So our country is beautiful. We have a lot of resources. We lack nothing. We are a blessed nation. But uh, because of that, because because the leaders saw how much resources they have, they got greedy. They wanted their share of it, and they took more than their share of it. So
Right.
because of that, I think lack of resources, also poor strategizing, and the actions of the government obviously directly impacted our economy in the long run. It wasn't the result wasn't as soon as they acted, but now only we see the result of long term damage, long term corruption, long term greediness and cunningness of our leaders. That's why we are in this situation now. So tourism industry, 10% of 10% and more of the current GDP is from tourism, and because of the pandemic, it can be taken as an external factor that
Right.
you know external shock for our economy. And now the Ukraine Russian war, because I believe we imported fuel from them. So we had, because of that war situation, we had to go to another buyer, so we had to pay more dollars, more money for us to get for fuel. So because of that, we hit ground bottom because of our foreign reserves being emptied, because obviously we know how much of corruption and how much of stealing that had happened from inside. Now only we understand, because we have hit rock bottom. We have defaulted in our sovereign bonds. We have hit default. We are defaulted in foreign reserves. So because of that, that's why we have our oil crisis right now, because we have to
Right.
pay more to get the oil, and we don't have dollars to do that. So that's why we have queues right now. We have an oil crisis. Plus uh, we used to import more than exporting. So because of that deficiency only, we also it also had a direct impact on our revenue, because we exported less and we imported much more than we could afford. That's also one of the things that that poor strategizing internal factor that I believe impacted our economy. And uh, our nation was an agriculture is an agricultural nation, where we uh, plant crops, and we get them like rice, vegetables. We plant them in Sri Lanka. Even though we plant them in Sri Lanka, they imported rice and vegetables from other countries. So there was a price hike, I believe in 2017 or something. And recently, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power, they had a ban of chemical fertilizers. So the farmers didn't have fertilizers to you know uh, plant crops, do the agriculture farming, all the paddy. So we have a food shortage, food crisis because of that, because we were 100% chemical fertilizer farming. We had a farming community who used 100% chemical fertilizer because it's much more effective, because it repels bugs and it gets a much faster harvest than organic, even though organic is much better for our health, because we needed that, quick results, and to save the crops from bugs and everything. That's why we use chemical fertilizer. And chemical fertilizer, when they stopped, then there was a crisis there also. So, and again, to, you know because we didn't have money, we took debt. We are entangled in a web of debt to so many people, so many countries.
Yes.
We have about, I think, 8 billion, uh, 8 billion loan we had taken from China. We are not able to pay it. And from Japan, from we recently we took from India, we took from Pakistan, UK, so we are further we are going into debt. So all of our country's economy. So yes, external factors, it did hit us for a while, but mostly during the long run, it was our own poor strategizing, poor management, and corruption that
Right.
was in Sri Lanka.
But Alicia, if majority of the blame this fall on the government, how are we going to make them take accountability for it? So in case now people are like arrest the Rajapakshas, they have to go to jail and all that. But when it comes to the law, right? Asking from a law student, I really wanted to ask this question from you. If we are gonna make the Rajapakshas and everyone involved, take accountability for their robbery, is the law on our side, or is law such that the people in power such as the Rajapaksas and everyone involved in the robbery and everything that they did, are they able to escape it according to Sri Lankan law, or are they, I don't know, manipulating the law? What are they doing?
Of course, they can manipulate the law, because actually, not only them, anyone can manipulate it, if you have the correct knowledge of the law and can get the right help. But in this situation, the Bar Association, headed by uh, Mr. Salia Piris, they are working hard. They are working nights on nights, trying to gather evidence and actually build up a case against the current Rajapaksa family. They have already filed a court case in, I think, the Colombo courts. So, I mean, we can, at the end of the day, they will have to take accountability for making things worse in
Right.
in the current
Mm-hmm.
situation. Uh, so right now, they can't. I'm pretty sure they can't escape it, because we have a very solid, list of evidences that we can use to bring them down. The president, of course, if he doesn't step down, we can't bring any action against the president for, again, in the Supreme Court or any courts of law, in
Right.
during his tenure. But if the parliament is ready to impeach or brings a no confidence motion, then he can be, that is what we can do if he's still in the position of the president. But if he resigns, then yes, of course, we can take legal action against him too. And no, I don't, I'm sure that they can't escape the situation, because they have a travel ban and everything, so they have to stay in Sri Lanka, because there is a ongoing case that is being built up right now. uh, in this situation, I think they are also a bit scared, because that's why we don't see them like frequently, even on TV, because we have gathered evidence from the day this economic crisis hit. So the lawyers
Right.
have been working, and for a long time we wanted accountability from the Rajapaksa family. In 2015, when they went out of power, we wanted accountability. We wanted to know what happened in those ministries. We wanted to know how a lot of money was lost, how without doing any jobs, or in anything. How are the children living such a luxurious life? Because
Right.
according to the supposed salary they are supposed to get from the government, no way, no way they can
Yeah.
enjoy all of that and have all of that,
Mm-mm.
no way. So obviously then there was something that is happening behind the stage, behind all of the facade that they were portraying, saying, okay, we are very patriotic, we love this nation, okay, we are not going to rob our nation blind. That is all of facade they are playing. So because now we have proper concrete evidence. Before, no, there was no, they had covered it up very well. But now I think with this situation, because they also didn't think that this will go out of hand, because they were not prepared for it, I think they did a sloppy job in covering up their tracks. uh, with technology, with all of when all of this is happening, there's a lot of technology that can be used to uncover all of this. So the um, the bar association is uh, working very much with the technology and trying to get all of this information so that they can bring a court case, not just for Mahinda Rajapaksa and Gotabaya, but also for their relatives like Nama Rajapaksa, then Shashendra, and all of those Rajapaksa family that is been hogging the seats of leadership for this long in Sri Lanka. So don't lose faith on law. Law and order
Right.
is there in the country for uh, to give justice to its innocent people, for its innocent victims. Right now, all
Right.
Sri Lankans are innocent people who have been robbed blind. We are the victims here, not them. They are the perpetrators. So the law is there to ensure that we are being protected. So don't lose faith in law. Now it's a time where law and order is established like never before in Sri Lanka. There is no loopholes, there is no underhand work that can happen because everyone wants to end corruption. So that is happening right now. So
Right.
don't lose faith, don't take law into your hands, and uh, help the lawyers to uh, help the lawyers to protect you, help the lawyers to keep law and order. Because if we try to take law into our hands, the lawyers can't do anything to help us out. So right now in this situation, no, the Rajapakshas cannot leave this. Rajapakshas can hide all they want in Sri Lanka, but they can't escape the hands of law, no.
Right. So you do strongly believe, yes, the Sri Lankan law someday will, make the Rajpaksas and everyone involved take accountability for their robbery or any other bad stuff that they did. Now, I wanted to touch
Yes.
something, having a law student on the show is obviously fantastic. So I wanted to touch something, else apart from the economic crisis. So let's talk a bit about the marginalized communities, especially the LGBTQ community, right? And also the Tamils. All right, they are very much marginalized, and in a sense that yes, there is still mistreatment happening for the Tamils, and of course everyone involved in the LGBTQ community. So, will the Sri Lankan law ever change in a way that would benefit these marginalized communities? Do you, personally as a law student, do you think there is hope for them?
uh, the thing in law is we have never you know, discriminated people due to race, caste, whatever the religion they are believing in, whoever they are as human beings. There is no division, there is no favorism in law. If law
Right.
is established, law is for everyone. If they are black, if they are Tamils, if they are Sinhalese, if they are Buddhists, if they are Christians, if there are LGBTQ community people in that community, it doesn't matter to law. In That's why that lady has closed her eyes, uh, because in law, I hope you get who that is. The lady justice has her eyes closed
All
because
right. All right.
she
Okay.
will not be biased by who the people are, but short,
Mm.
tall, whatever, whoever the people are, that she won't be biased. So
Right.
likewise, law is not biased, it's very unbiased, it's for everyone, because that's what law should be. Law doesn't discriminate.
Yes.
Law doesn't put people down. Law is supposed to simply help people and get people justice. That is what law is.
Right.
Okay, so just because we are Tamils, the discrimination and division is brought by the people itself.
Mm.
So because of our mindsets, because of our traditional mindset, our culture, you know and there's this mindset where they say that Sri Lanka is a singular Buddhist nation. It's not. Our Sri Lankan flag consists of the maroon, the green, and the orange. That means all the communities in Sri Lanka, yeah, is belong in Sri Lanka. All the communities, Tamils, Muslims, Burghers, Sinhalese, all these people belong in Sri Lanka. They are Sri Lankan citizens. No matter what they believe in, no matter how they conduct themselves, no matter what, uh, no matter how they express themselves, that doesn't matter, because everyone is Sri Lankan. Everyone who is in this country, who is born in this country, is a Sri Lankan. It's not the division is brought just by people. So that is in the side of law. No, you won't be discriminated if you go and seek justice for your situations, your problems in law, in the hands of law. You will be treated the same. It doesn't matter if you're a Hindu. It doesn't matter if you're gay. It doesn't matter if you're a lesbian. Doesn't matter.
But Alicia,
The
you said,
division.
the law is on the side of the people, but I want to ask you, and that law, was it not made by, people with those traditional mindsets? And that is why, these marginalized communities, that's why, the whole term marginalized is still being used. So if the law is on the side of the people, why aren't we not seeing any changes?
Uh, uh, how do I say? Um, our law, the country, the Sri Lankan law, which we have right now, is a combination of English law plus Roman Dutch law. So yes, it's ages old. I believe that there
Right.
should be new reforms that should come, because law should be updated. It cannot be old. It cannot be just applied for situations that are supposed to be like 30 years or 20 years old. No, the law should be updated with the current situations. I agree 100%. But the thing is, we don't focus much on that,
Why don't we
because
focus much on that?
because we are
Why is
we
there
are
no focus
surrounded
on
by
it?
much bigger problems that are around now. See right now, how much of effort is being put to protect the people, plus to bring Rajapakshas to justice, because the Loy community is quite small when you look at it. Uh, when personally, law is very hard for me to, it's a hard subject. So the rate of passing, they also like limit it, because
Yes.
to maintain a standard that is understandable. So the amount of things you can do for while you are in service is only only so much, because people like yesterday, that small kid was sent to get some
Yep.
chicken, and she was murdered. I don't know if she was raped or not. She was just murdered there. She was 9 years old. Okay, so violence like that happens in Sri Lanka, like all over Sri Lanka every day. Accidents, murders, shootings, uh, gang shootings, all of, like, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of involvement of law and lawyers, and like even court cases takes like 6 years, 10 years to get justice to end it, because uh, it's very hard, because a specific court can only take so much of a limited number of cases per day. So
Right.
right now in courts, there are cases which has been going on for 15-20 years, just land cases. So our our court system is backlogged. There are so many cases have not been which have not been yet even taken into account, which has happened right now, because we don't have the manpower, we don't have the professionals, we don't have enough facilities as courts to hear all of that. Okay, so there's
Right.
a lot of reformation that should happen. So I understand. I'm also frustrated. I'm also thinking, okay, why can't we do anything about this? But because simply we don't have enough resources. Because uh, when you put a court case, we always know that it's going to, oh god, it's going to take so many years. We are going to get,
Yeah.
fed up with it. So people lose faith in the court system. That but you know partly, yes, it's the court system, it's their fault. But it's also, how evidence plays, how new evidence come in, how the police so there's a lot of factors that include in building up a case. It's not very easy. It's need. And yes, marginalized communities, I understand them, how they were during the wartime, what happened in Waikal, I think, recently. So I understand that. And the legal system before and now is totally different.
Right.
We are more proactive, we are more active now, and we are quick. We have a changed mindset. But if we had the
Right.
same mindset that we had about 10 or 15 years ago, the lawyers won't even be like frontliners in these protests. We can see how even the young lawyers, junior lawyers who just stepped out of law college, coming and supporting these people. Even
Yep.
the senior lawyers coming and supporting these people. When Anuradha Bandara was taken into custody, the lawyers went to each and every police station that they were given information about, that where he is here. They went about 150 lawyers, and when he was brought back home, how many lawyers stood out of his house saying them, okay, Malli, don't worry, we will be there for you. Whatever happens, we are going to be there for you. So that is the change mindset we need. Yes, we have faults in our own systems, yes, but the most important thing is that we realize it, and we stand to correct them at least now, so we can at
Right.
least do some work to get it sorted in the future. Yeah.
Well, words of hope coming from Elisha Perera, a law student and youth activist now on Relax Radio Beyond Frequencies on the mic drop, a revolution of a generation. Well, with that said, of course, we are moving towards the end of the program. But before we leave, Alicia, any final thoughts? Is there hope for this country, especially, for this economic crisis? What would you say to the people?
uh yeah. Like I said before, we are a very resourceful country, we are a beautiful country, and you young people out there has so much of potential. You might be lost right now. You might feel like, okay, at the rate our country is going, I don't know if, even if I should stay in this country, I should go abroad. Change that mindset. uh, because the main problem that we have is less human capital, which is less skill minded people with less skill. Because all the skilled people went out of Sri Lanka long time back, and it's continuing to happen. if we
Right.
don't if we don't stay in Sri Lanka and use our skills and do something for the economy, do something for the country, how can you expect our country to change, right? So
Yeah.
you need to have faith. You need to stay in Sri Lanka. You don't lose faith, because if you start something, there's going to be thousands of people behind you backing you up. That's the kind of unity we have right now. So uh, you know 2 or 3 years ago, would you have thought that we will be this united? No. I still can't believe how united we are right now. I never thought that a day like that this will come. How united we are. So there is going to be so much of support that even you're not going to be seen as competition right now. We are going to be in the same team. We are going to work to the betterment of this country. So uh, get educated, go into all the sectors, go to the health sector, go to the legal system, go to all the sectors, entertainment, education, go and influence those areas, go and impact those areas, because that's what we need right now. Right now we need your help. Right now we need you to turn the situation around. So don't stop fighting, don't take law into your hands, because the is uh, law is being working like never before. It's bringing justice back and forth. Now the court system is very strict on corruption, very strict on the political figures also, so they don't have any upper hand in this. Don't think about it. Just just stay in Sri Lanka, so that we as a nation can see the change we are fighting for. So I encourage you and I urge you, and I applaud all the people, all the protesters that are in Gotagogam. I applaud you, because of you are a historical bunch of people who will have created a historical revolution in Sri Lanka. You all are going to be talked about in our history books. So um, be strong, be courageous, don't lose hope, don't instigate violence, don't fall into the traps of the government, because they are very manipulative. So yeah, uh, I'm very proud to be called a Sri Lankan, and I will do my best. I will do whatever I can to the best of my ability to help this country. So I think you should also do the same.
Well, you heard it from her, Elisha Perera. Elisha, thank you so much for your time and for bringing out so much of positive energy. Amidst a negative crisis such as this time, we really really admire your time. So thank you so much for being a
Thanks,
part of
Evan.
Relax Radio. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, and thank you to everyone that hopped on board and for tuning in and for giving us so much of support and encouragement, especially on a special program just like the Mic Drop, a revolution of a generation. With that said, of course, we are ending this broadcast. Have yourselves a fantastic Sunday ahead.